At my wedding, my sister announced she was pregnant with my fiancé's baby, then asked me to smile. My sister announced she was pregnant with my fiancé's baby during the wedding toast. Then she looked directly at me, raised her champagne glass and said, "Come on, Claire, smile. This is supposed to be a happy day." For 3 seconds, nobody moved. The photographer was standing behind her with his camera raised. My mother had one hand pressed against her mouth. My father was staring at the floor. Daniel, my fiancé, stood beside me in his black tuxedo, looking like a man who had just realized that the secret he thought he controlled had walked into the room wearing a white dress. And my sister Olivia was smiling. Not nervously, not apologetically. She was smiling like she had finally won something. I looked at her stomach. It was still flat beneath the satin dress she had chosen for my wedding. There was no visible baby. No proof except the sentence she had just announced in front of 87 guests, my husband-to-be, both families, and the woman holding a microphone. "Say it again," I said. Olivia tilted her head. "Don't make this difficult, Claire." That was when I understood. She had rehearsed this. The announcement, the timing, the smile, even the sentence asking me to smile. She had not lost control. She had planned to take my wedding away from me in front of everyone. I turned toward Daniel. He did not look at me. That was the first answer. My name is Claire Bennett, and until that moment, I believed my sister was jealous of me. I did not understand that jealousy was only the surface. Underneath it was resentment, entitlement, and a belief that anything good in my life was something she had the right to take. Olivia and I were 2 years apart. I was older, quieter, and usually the one who avoided arguments. Olivia was beautiful, outspoken, and very good at turning every room toward herself. When we were children, people called her confident. When we were teenagers, they called her charming. When we were adults, they called her misunderstood. I called her exhausting. Our mother always defended her. "Olivia just feels things deeply," Mom would say after she insulted someone. "She's under pressure," Dad would say after she borrowed money. "She doesn't mean it," everyone would say after she crossed another boundary. I was always expected to understand. When Olivia dropped out of college, I was told not to judge her. When she changed jobs 6 times in 2 years, I was told she was searching for herself. When she borrowed money from our parents and never repaid it, I was told she needed support. When she moved into my apartment after a breakup and stayed for 7 months, I was told to be patient. I was patient. That became my role in the family. Claire is patient. Claire is reasonable. Claire will understand. Claire will forgive. So when Daniel proposed to me, I kept the news quiet for almost 2 weeks. Not because I was ashamed, because I knew exactly what would happen when I told Olivia. She would say the ring was beautiful, but probably too traditional. She would ask how much the wedding would cost. She would make a joke about how Daniel had finally settled down. And then she would find a way to make the conversation about herself. I was right about everything except the scale. Daniel proposed during a weekend trip to Lake Michigan. It was not extravagant. There was no crowd, no violinist, no restaurant full of strangers clapping. He took me to the beach just before sunset. The wind was cold, sand kept blowing into my shoes. I was wearing a sweater that had a hole in the sleeve. He held my hands and said, "I know life with me will never be perfect, but I promise it will always be honest." That sentence mattered to me. Honesty had always been the thing I wanted most. I said yes. When we returned home, I called my parents first. Mom cried. Dad congratulated Daniel and asked whether we had decided who would pay for the wedding. Then I called Olivia. She answered on the 4th ring. "What happened?" she asked. "Daniel proposed." There was silence. Then she laughed. Not a happy laugh. A strange, breathy laugh that made me regret calling her. "Wow," she said. "That's fast. We've been together for 3 years. I know, I just mean, wow." I waited. "Are you happy?" she finally asked. "Yes." Another pause. "Then I'm happy for you." She said it correctly. That was the problem. Everything about Olivia sounded correct when she wanted to appear innocent. She came to our apartment the next weekend to see the ring. She held my hand beneath the kitchen light and studied the diamond. "It's lovely," she said. "Thank you." "Did he choose it himself?" "Yes." "That's surprising." "Why?" She released my hand. "I don't know. Daniel never seemed like the marrying type." I laughed because I wanted to believe it was harmless. That evening, she stayed for dinner. She sat across from Daniel, asking him about his work, his parents, his plans after the wedding. She laughed at every joke he made. When he went to the kitchen to open another bottle of wine, she leaned toward me. "You're lucky," she said. "I know." "No, I mean really lucky." There was something in her expression that made me uncomfortable. "What does that mean?" She smiled. "It means Daniel is the kind of man women notice." I should have remembered that sentence. Instead, I ignored it. The wedding planning began 3 months later. We chose a small vineyard venue outside the city. There would be white flowers, long tables, string lights, and a small lake behind the reception hall. I wanted a quiet wedding. Olivia wanted a performance. She insisted on helping with everything. She chose the bridesmaid dresses without asking me. She added herself to meetings with the photographer. She called the venue coordinator directly and changed the seating arrangement twice. When I objected, she laughed. "You're getting stressed over tiny details. These details cost money. Daniel can afford it. That isn't the point." She stared at me. "You've changed since you got engaged." "How?" "You act like everything belongs to you now." I thought she was talking about the wedding. I later realized she meant Daniel. The first time I noticed something between them, we were at my parents' house for Easter. Daniel was helping Dad repair a loose cabinet door. I was in the dining room setting plates when I saw Olivia standing beside him in the hallway. She was too close. Her hand rested on his arm. Daniel looked uncomfortable. When he saw me, he stepped away. "What were you two talking about?" I asked. Olivia smiled. "Daniel was telling me about the new project at work." "He could tell you at the table." "Are you jealous?" "No." "Then why are you acting like this?" Daniel came back into the room. "Everything okay?" Olivia answered before I could. "Claire thinks I was flirting with you." Daniel looked at me. "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." Olivia smiled again. That night, I asked Daniel whether she had ever made him uncomfortable. He looked genuinely offended. "Your sister is difficult, but nothing happened." "Did she ever text you?" "About the wedding." "Only about the wedding?" He hesitated. It lasted less than a second, but I noticed it. He eventually admitted that Olivia had sent him messages about decorations, seating arrangements, and a surprise she wanted to organize for me. I asked to see them. He showed me the messages. They looked harmless. Then I saw one he had deleted. The notification preview appeared at the top of his phone before disappearing. "You know, you could have chosen differently." I looked at him. "What does that mean?" "I don't know." "Did you ask her?" "She was probably talking about the wedding." "Why would she say you could have chosen differently?" Daniel rubbed his face. "Claire, this is exactly what I mean. You're turning every sentence into evidence." Maybe he was right. I had no proof. And people without proof are often told they are imagining things. So I apologized. That became another mistake. 2 weeks before the wedding, Olivia asked me to meet her for coffee. She arrived 25 minutes late, wearing sunglasses and carrying a designer bag she had borrowed from our mother. "I need to tell you something," she said. I thought she was going to complain about the bridesmaid dress. Instead, she said, "I don't think you should marry Daniel." My stomach tightened. "Why?" "He isn't who you think he is." "What does that mean?" She removed her sunglasses. "He lies." "About what?" "Everything." "Are you saying he's cheating on me?" She looked away. "I'm saying you should ask him what happened between us." For a moment, I could not speak. "What happened between you?" She leaned back. "Nothing happened, that's the point." "Olivia." "He contacted me first." The coffee shop suddenly felt too loud. "What are you talking about?" "He said he wanted to talk. He said he had doubts." "About the wedding?" "About you." I stared at her. She continued. "He told me you were controlling, that you needed constant reassurance, that he felt trapped." I stood so quickly my chair moved backward. "You're lying." "I'm not." "Why would he tell you that?" "Because he trusts me." "No, because you wanted him to." She lowered her voice. "Claire, you always assume people are trying to hurt you. Maybe Daniel is finally realizing that." I walked out without finishing my coffee. That evening, I asked Daniel directly. He denied everything. He said Olivia had always been obsessed with creating conflict between us. He said he had spoken to her several times, but only because she helped with the wedding. I asked whether he had told her he felt trapped. He said no. I asked whether he had ever kissed her. He said no. I asked whether he had slept with her. He said no. The last answer came too quickly. Not because he was guilty, because he had expected the question. I did not sleep that night. The next morning, I called the venue coordinator and asked whether any changes had been made to the wedding schedule. She hesitated. Are you asking about the toast? What toast? The woman on the phone became quiet. I'm sorry, I thought you knew. What toast? Your sister requested an additional speech during the reception. Why? She said it was a surprise for you. I felt cold. What exactly did she say? She said she wanted to make a family announcement. I thanked her and hung up. Then I opened the shared wedding planning folder. Olivia had access because I had given it to her months earlier. There was a new file. Speech. Do not open until reception. I opened it. The document contained only one sentence. Some people get everything they want, even when they don't deserve it. I called Daniel. He didn't answer. I called again. Still nothing. Then I received a message from Olivia. Don't ruin your own wedding by being suspicious. You'll understand tomorrow. That was when I stopped trying to save the wedding. I started trying to understand what they had already done. The wedding day arrived under a pale gray sky. I woke up at 5 in the morning and felt strangely calm. My mother came to the hotel with flowers. She hugged me, then immediately asked whether I had spoken to Olivia. No? You should. Why? She's nervous. I'm nervous too. This is different. No, Mom, it isn't. She looked at me carefully. You don't want to fight with your sister on your wedding day. I don't want to be humiliated by her on my wedding day. Her face changed. What does that mean? I handed her my phone. On the screen was a screenshot I had received from the venue coordinator. It showed Olivia's email requesting the surprise toast. My mother read it. Then she looked at me. She probably wants to say something nice. Then why did she write that sentence? Mom looked at the screen again. She did not answer. The ceremony itself was beautiful. Daniel cried when I walked down the aisle. For almost an hour, I allowed myself to believe I had been wrong. Maybe the deleted message had an innocent explanation. Maybe Olivia had lied because she was angry. Maybe Daniel had made a mistake but had not betrayed me. Maybe I could survive a few uncomfortable conversations and still have a marriage. At the reception, dinner was served. My father gave a speech about love. My mother spoke about family. Olivia sat beside Daniel during the meal because she claimed her assigned table had a broken chair. I noticed, but said nothing. Then the photographer announced that it was time for the family toast. My father stood first. He said he was proud of me. My mother cried. Then Olivia stood. She took the microphone with both hands. I didn't prepare a speech, she said. That was false. I just wanted to say something important. Daniel looked at her. His face had gone pale. Olivia placed one hand over her stomach. I'm pregnant. The room erupted. People gasped. Someone clapped before realizing nobody else was clapping. Olivia looked at me. And the baby is Daniel's. There it was, the sentence that split my life into before and after. I looked at Daniel. He was not surprised. That was all the proof I needed. Olivia raised her glass. So, Claire, she said softly, smile. I took the microphone from her. My hand was steady. Thank you, I said. She blinked. For what? For finally telling the truth in front of everyone. The room went quiet again. Daniel stood. Claire, let me explain. No. I didn't know she was going to say this. But you knew she was pregnant. He looked at the floor. The silence answered for him. My mother started crying. My father told everyone to calm down. Olivia looked at me with anger now. You always wanted attention. I turned toward her. You announced your pregnancy at my wedding. You were marrying a man who was already mine. Then why did you let me spend 2 years planning this wedding? Her lips tightened. Because he kept saying he was going to leave you. I looked at Daniel. Is that true? He finally spoke. I was confused. No, you were comfortable. Claire, you had me planning a wedding while sleeping with my sister. It wasn't like that. What was it like? He had no answer. I placed the microphone on the table. Then I walked toward the exit. My mother followed me. Claire, you can't leave. I can. This is your wedding. No, I said. It was. In the parking lot, I removed my wedding shoes and held them in one hand. My cousin Rachel followed me outside. She was the only family member who had not gone silent. I'm sorry, she said. Did you know? No. She looked down. Some people did. Who? She hesitated. Your mother knew Olivia had something to announce. That hurt more than I expected. I called the venue coordinator. Cancel the reception. Are you sure? Yes. What should we do about the guests? Tell them the truth. I hung up and called the hotel. Then I called my attorney. Then I called the photographer. I asked him to send me every photograph taken after the ceremony. He asked why. I need to know who already knew. That afternoon, the photographs arrived. In one picture, Olivia stood beside Daniel with her hand resting on his chest. In another, my mother looked directly at them while they whispered. In a third, my father was holding a folded piece of paper. I zoomed in. It was a hospital appointment card. The date was 2 weeks before the wedding. The appointment belonged to Olivia. The next morning, I went to Daniel's apartment. He had already left the reception venue. His clothes were gone from our hotel room. I found him at the apartment we had rented together. Olivia was there. She was sitting on the couch with her hand on her stomach. Daniel stood when I entered. You shouldn't be here. I'm still your fiancé. Not anymore. I looked around the apartment. My photographs were still on the wall. Our wedding invitations were stacked beside the television. A framed picture of us from our first vacation sat on the shelf. Olivia watched me with an expression that looked almost triumphant. What do you want? She asked. I looked at Daniel. The truth. I told you the truth, he said. No, you told me the version that made you look less cruel. He looked away. I placed my phone on the table and pressed play. It was a recording I had made that morning. My mother was speaking to my father in the hotel hallway. We can't let Claire cancel everything, Mom had said. She'll find out eventually, Dad replied. Not if she gets through the ceremony. Then Mom had said, Olivia deserves a chance. Daniel never loved Claire the way he loves her. The recording ended. Daniel stared at the phone. Olivia stood. You recorded them? No, the hotel security system did. That was not entirely true. I had asked the hotel manager for the audio because the hallway camera had captured the conversation. He gave it to me after I explained the situation. Olivia looked at Daniel. Tell her you love me. Daniel said nothing. Tell her. I do love you. She smiled. I turned toward the door. Then you can have each other. Daniel grabbed my arm. Claire, wait. I pulled away. Do not touch me. I'm sorry. You're not sorry. You're scared. What am I scared of? Being seen clearly. He released my arm. I left. For the next 2 weeks, my family tried to convince me that I had overreacted. My mother said the wedding had become complicated. My father said Daniel and Olivia had made a mistake. My aunt said I needed to forgive because the baby was innocent. I asked each of them the same question. Why did you let me walk down the aisle? Nobody answered. The wedding vendors refunded some deposits, others did not. I lost money. I lost friends. I lost the future I had spent 2 years imagining. But I also lost the illusion that I had to keep people close simply because they were family. 3 months later, Olivia gave birth to a boy. Daniel was there. My mother sent me a photograph. I did not reply. A week later, Daniel came to my apartment. He looked exhausted. How is the baby? I asked. He's healthy. That's good. Olivia and I aren't together. I said nothing. She thought the wedding announcement would make you disappear and make me choose her. You did choose her. I was afraid. You chose fear. He looked down. I made the worst mistake of my life. No, you made a series of choices. His eyes filled with tears. I loved you. You loved what I gave you. That isn't true. You let me plan our wedding while you planned a life with my sister. He had no response. Before he left, he placed something on the table. My engagement ring. I want you to have it back. I don't want it. It belongs to you. No, it belongs to the life that ended. He nodded and took it with him. 6 months after the wedding, I moved to another state. I took a job at a nonprofit that helped women leave financially abusive relationships. At first, I did administrative work. Then I started helping with emergency housing, legal referrals, and financial planning. I learned how many women stayed because leaving felt more frightening than being mistreated. I understood them. I had not been physically trapped. I had been emotionally trained to tolerate betrayal. That was still a kind of prison. My mother called on my birthday. Olivia wants to apologize. I'm not ready. She's been in therapy. I'm glad. She says she knows what she did was wrong. I hope she does. Claire, she's your sister. I know. You only get one family. That doesn't mean they get unlimited access to me. There was a long silence. Then Mom asked, "Do you hate her?" I thought about it. No. She sounded relieved. I just don't trust her. That can change. Maybe, but it won't change because everyone wants me to feel better. My mother began crying. This time, I did not rush to comfort her. I let the silence remain. That was new for me. Years later, I received a letter from Olivia. She wrote that she had started therapy before the wedding, but stopped after 3 sessions because the therapist told her she was responsible for the damage she caused. She wrote that she had convinced herself Daniel loved her more because he chose her in secret. She wrote that she hated watching me become happy because my happiness reminded her of everything she believed she lacked. She wrote that the baby had forced her to grow up. I read the letter twice. Then I wrote back, I hope you become a better person. But you do not get to use your pain as a bridge back into my life. If we ever speak again, it will be because trust has been rebuilt slowly, not because you are sorry today. She replied 2 weeks later, I understand. For the first time, I believed her. I never went back to the family home. I never attended holidays where Olivia was present. I stopped explaining why. Some people thought I was bitter. Some thought I should forgive. Some said I had allowed one terrible day to destroy an entire family. They did not understand that one day had only exposed what had been happening for years. The wedding was not ruined because Olivia announced the pregnancy. It was ruined because Daniel had already betrayed me. It was ruined because my mother knew something was wrong and still encouraged me to continue. It was ruined because everyone expected me to smile so they could remain comfortable. I did not smile. I walked away. A year after the wedding, I met someone named Ethan. He knew about my past. I told him everything on our 3rd date. He did not say I was too sensitive. He did not say I needed to forgive my family. He simply said, "You don't have to convince me that what happened hurt you." That sentence felt like peace. We did not rush into marriage. We took our time. We learned how to disagree without threatening to leave. We learned that love should not require someone else to disappear. 3 years later, Ethan proposed to me at a small lake. There was no crowd, no microphone, no family announcement, just the 2 of us, cold wind, wet sand, and a ring he had chosen himself. He asked, "Will you marry me?" I said yes. Then I smiled, not because anyone ordered me to, because this time, I wanted to. And that is the difference between being forced to perform happiness and finally being free enough to feel it. So if someone asks whether I regret walking away from my wedding, the answer is no. I regret that I trusted the wrong people. I regret that I ignored the signs. I regret that I spent years believing being the bigger person meant allowing everyone else to stand on me. But I do not regret leaving. My sister wanted me to smile while she announced that my fiancé was the father of her baby. Instead, I gave her exactly what she asked for. I smiled. Then I walked away from both of them. And I never stopped smiling after that.